The TT races has created hundreds, if not thousands, of heroes over the years. Every corner of every lap is an opportunity for the average man to become a race leader, a winner, and maybe in the eyes of somebody, a hero. After more than a century of racing, there's one name and one man whose hero status will remain untouchable.
Well, I've been going to races with my uncles from the 70s, and at that time the two big names in the paddock really were Ray McCulloch and this up and coming guy from Ballymoney, Joey Dunlop.
As you're growing up, you hear the stories, don't you? The Crosbys, the Granties, the Roger Marshalls.
Agostini was here, Mike Halewood was here. They've all done a remarkable job on the Isle of Man TT.
There was a lot of great. Steve Islop was a great rider. There was DJ was a great rider. Joey just seemed to, just the way he did it, so unassuming. There's always a story. There's always a cool story.
When a young lad like that is going off on a wing and a prayer and winning races, they get a name for themselves pretty handy.
It was certainly Joey was one of the main people that you were looking at and wanting to become, if you like, because he was one of the main guys, He
was seen as a little bit of a maverick and did it his own way, didn't say too much. And even when he got factory backing, he still did it his own way somehow.
I think Joey just stands out because of what Joey was. Joey epitomises what a road racer is, and he did everything himself.
You can sort of buy into that pretty easy as a kid.
When I was a young kid, I idolised Joey Dunlop. He was the king of Irish road racing, really.
I was only a child, when he won his, 5-year-old, when he won his first TT in 77. 82, 83, 84, he was a winning machine, 85 winning. I watched him win races in 85. I was there in 86 with my dad again. When I was sat in the hedges as a youngster, he was the man to beat.
But for me, one of the biggest things about Joey was his versatility.
He could ride anything. That was the thing where Joey had special. He could put him on a 125 to a suit bike and go out and win.
He could go out in the morning and win on a 125 Honda, and an hour later he'd go out and win on a super bike.
It's a special thing that, to have that, to have all the ingredients to do that.
I've never really come across anyone else that could really do that.
I think he put road racing on the map in a way. He was like, for our era anyway, for me growing up.
There was all this kind of hype, wasn't there, that Joey was just about the roads, but he was clearly a class act on the short circuits as well.
He could have been a great short circuit rider, 100%. He could have been world superbike champion, couldn't he? But if he wanted to do it, he would have done it. No. He was Formula One world champion. He was on pole position in the first ever world superbike race at Donington. I've never been anywhere near any of that. I've never won a race in Ireland. I won a couple Ulster Grand Prix and the 6 Northwest. I've not won the Carador or the Tandragee or the Skerries or all them races he won.
To win an Irish road race isn't easy. It might think it's just a national road race, but there's some people like myself or some very, very hungry Irish road racers who are prepared to commit everything to win those national meetings. Okay, they weren't on the world stage, but I tell you what, they were given world performances on Irish road races.
He got hurt, Brands Hatch in 89.
Honda everyone believed that Joey's career was over.
He battled his way back from that, and he won in 95.
96, he battered us all. 250 race, drilled us all. Won it in 97, won it in 98 in the wet.
Joey Dunlop just keeps chipping away.
He still wanted it. He still really believed that he had another big bike win in him.
Whereas Joey was sort of looked upon as a 125 or a 250 sort of guy, you know.
In a way, that probably helped Joey, to be honest, because I think it took a lot of the pressure, a lot of the talk away from him, because everyone was centering around other names, DJ being one of them.
And I think there was always the hunger. There was always the hunger to get back to the very top.
And once you got him determined, look out, he was a man to be reckoned with.
And sure enough, when he felt confident enough to step it up again, he could and did. So, yeah, measure of the man.
You know, he went on to 2000, where he had one of the greatest victories in his life.
But again, that would be Joey, wouldn't it? He'd never write himself off. But he would never speak about that, would he? He'd just go along and do his business, and then one day he'd turn up with the big bike and go and win again. Simple as that.
Now then, Joey Dunlop on the Works Engine SP1.
He hasn't won a Formula 1 TT since 1988. He's 48 years old, and the pressure is really on this time.
I mean, a lot of people thought he was too old at 48. People thought he was past it.
Completely. Yeah, absolutely, been written off. I'm getting the hairs on the back of my neck at him now, because I remember what happened.
You know, Joey's last race was obviously 48. People have written him off because of his age.
You know, let's be honest, not the fittest looking bloke, you know, not a great ambassador for athleticism.
God rest him, he had a belly on him, didn't he, now and again, a little pot belly and a little beer belly or something, but then he burned it off, didn't he? And
ironically, the sort of older he got, the more he kind of started to look after himself, didn't he? He sort of kind of got himself a bit fitter and a bit neater, and he got off the fags a little bit.
He got himself fit, and I don't know how he got himself fit, but he looked fit. You know, when we raced against him in 2000, he was a different bloke to like 3 or 4 years before it.
Nobody seen the real Joey Dunlop, and the real Joey Dunlop behind the scene was still chipping away.
Only a fool would have written off Joey Dunlop when he was determined to do something.
Down the bottom of Bray Hill, here's your man, Joey Dunlop then. That is a famous helmet on a famous mark.
It's a little bit unfair to say, but during all those years at certain times, Honda had him written off as well. You know, they didn't know he was going to still be fit to win races.
He really wanted that. He really wanted a big bike win here at the TT again.
So this is Glen Helen, and we'll be able to get the times in a moment just to see how much Joey Dunlop has made up. Oh, Joey! Hello, Joey. So Joey goes through then along, drop your body.
He was coming with hope and determination and belief that if he had the right piece of kit, he could do it here. He could win on the Isle of Man again. And it was a case of getting Honda to believe what he believed.
Honda finally pulled out the muscle, didn't they, Jules?
But the pressure's on Joey this time, Keith. He said the Fireblade couldn't do it. There's an OK, Joey. Here's a Works engine.
In 2000, Honda had given him a Fireblade. I remember he rode the Fireblade at Achidue of all places.
I went to his garage, and that blade that they give him was just leant against the garage wall with no front wheel on it, on the forks. He says, that's a pile of shit.
I remember him looking at it in total disgust. He just looked at it, you know, this wasn't a race bike.
And like Honda were like, God, what we're gonna do?
Joey flew the flag for Honda, and he was loyal to them, so they repaid him basically with anything he wanted. He could pretty much get.
So then they gave him the kitted SP1 alongside McGuinness.
John McGuinness on the Vimto Honda.
And I was in the team, the Vimto team, and they were like, Joey might be your teammate. I'm like, you joking, you know?
Honda agreed to give him the SP1. You could see through practice he was struggling.
It was a missile. It was fast, but it didn't handle.
Although John McGuinness has always said the bike was really, really difficult to ride, a big handful.
I'm having a horrible time on this SP1. You know, things flipping unstable as anything.
John said it in the Northwest, the thing had that much, the handling was so bad on it, they were trying everything. He said, I got fed up of complaining to Honda and said to Joey, how'd you do it? He said, oh, just fucking grit your teeth. That's what he said. You grit your teeth. John thought he was going to tell him about some preload or different shock or link. So get your teeth, lad. That's what he said. And he said Honda brought some more suspension parts in because it was in Honda's interest to have the thing competitive. It wasn't their fault.
Honda had to pull something out of the bag to get him a, I think it was Aaron Slight engine.
Not a Suzuka 8-hour engine or something like that, but I mean, there's just boxes of HRC stuff was coming. It was so cool, Japanese engineers, and they built this machine.
They threw anything and everything at it like Honda do.
The Japanese slept on a camp bed next to the bike every night. It was amazing to see.
Again, shows you what they thought of Joey, didn't it? To go and do that kind of thing, and what it meant to Honda, obviously, to keep winning TTs, that they would pull those sort of strings.
Straight through then, leading on the road, Joey Dunlop, your man. He leads over the line.
They were up against it with them bikes because the four-cylinder Yamahas and things were extremely powerful and good.
Here is Dunlop.
Before the race, we thought the only man who might challenge this man, Joey Dunlop, would be Jeffries, given his form last year.
David was like a winning machine on them big bikes at the time. He was the fastest, and Rutter was strong at the time.
Rutter doing his normal workman-like job on the R1.
He was only 0.3 of a second down on Joey. Only
Only
3
3/10.
tenths. Absolutely.
We have a race on.
And Jeffries there, well, he slipped to 4th.
And obviously DJ at that time was taking the thing by storm.
It was obvious that David was coming, and
David Jeffries was the latest up-and-coming road racing star. He was pretty big, he was strong, he knew the TT course.
Joey turned a lot of them over. I suppose it wasn't on the script for them guys, but
there was a plan, and he was making it work. He was sticking to the plan, and it worked all the way out, right to the end.
Deep down, I did know this man's got talent, he's got style, and he knows how to ride. But is he going to use it? That was the only bit. So he's got all that, it's no problem at all. Is he going to use it?
Now then, at Ramsey, Dunlop led Jeffries. Jeffries on lap 2 had managed to get up behind Dunlop. 6 seconds adrift of Dunlop, Jeffries was at Ramsey.
It was all hands to the deck to get this, to make this thing happen. This really, really special thing.
Joey Dunlop's helmet waits for him. He's going to pit at the end of lap 2. There's Robert Dunlop to the left of your picture with a characteristic cowboy hat.
Robert was his spokesperson.
it was unusual to see them together so much, to be honest.
Joey would sort of go to Robert, and Robert would be like the spokesman. And Robert always wore like this leather Stetson hat thing. And it was just like two brothers talking to all these factory people.
You know, Robert could strip and build bikes with his eyes closed. Joey could do the same. And really, to be honest, probably during the years, they never shared all that mechanical knowledge. So now they had a bit of a mutual understanding here. You know, this is a race and we want to win.
Maybe a brother is in a position, or another family member is in more of a position to say something if it's required than anybody else. Certainly, whatever happened, it worked.
Here we are, Joey Dunlop in front of the fans. I mean, there is no man that is a bigger legend than this boy.
This is the man they came to see, Keith.
23 TT wins.
Experience counts a lot, doesn't it, around the Ironman?
You know, he used that experience as part of being older. You've lived longer, you've seen more, so it's all part of the game.
He was calculating, man. Joey was firmly fixed on winning that race that day.
David Jeffries leads by half a second from Joey Dunlop at the grandstand. Michael Rutter is third. He is something like 36 seconds further back. Then it's McGuinness in fourth, Moody in fifth, and Locker in sixth.
David Jeffries was a force to be reckoned with. You know, John McGuinness, you know, he's hungry and he's went on to win a lot of TTs. But them boys also, by that time, they had raced against Joey Dunlop for a few years. So deep down, they knew what he was capable of. And probably they thought the same as me. When he wants to pull the plug, he'll do it.
Joey was a class one of that, wasn't he? He often said that if he felt in the mood, he'd be on it. And if he wasn't, he wouldn't push. But you know, when he felt right, when he felt comfortable, he still had what it takes and proved it.
And there was so much about that year. There was all these wee things, all these wee twists and turns to the story all the time.
Jeffries has stopped.
That's Jeffries.
David Jeffries out of this race then. Well, he led it at the grandstand.
Yeah, you've got to be in it to win it. You've got to get to the end, and you know, Dave's bike had an issue.
It was 6 laps. that's part of a TT big bike race. It's a long way, and you've got to cover the distance, all of the distance. He did, DJ didn't.
Joey Dunlop already on his way to winning his 24th TT.
And I remember this really clearly, thinking this, being aware of this at the time, that it was a piece of sporting history. What you were seeing, what you were witnessing, was something very special.
Is the man himself, Joey Dunlop, about to take his 24th TT at 48 years old. He has looked fitter than he ever has here and takes the win then over the line, Joey Dunlop. So Joey Dunlop is the hero of the day. It has been a long time since this man has won a superbike race here at the TT. He restores Honda's honour.
It's completely embedded in my brain, you know. I'll never ever forget it.
There was an aura to it that day.
That performance was outstanding and unbelievable to take a TT win at his age.
Amazing. It was amazing, and I think it still is.
Things happen, don't they? Oh, bosh, you know, but when you look back, it's so special.
You blitzed the opposition today, yeah. David Jeffries out with a problem.
I don't know, you know, it was tight. It was a tight race. It was going to be very hard the very last lap, and I was waiting on the last lap, and I think Jeffries was probably waiting on it too, so it's going to be hard work.
They brought this special bike over for you, Honda, and it seemed to do the trick.
Oh, it paid off anyway.
Now, it's your 24th TT victory, yeah. Is that the best of the lot?
I would say it's one of them anyway, I must admit. It was hard work, and I'm happy enough.
As if the Formula One win wasn't enough, Joey would taste victory twice more during race week at the 2000 TT. In his Manx Radio post-race interview, Joey declared the 250 as the best bike he'd ever ridden around the TT course. His style across the line after winning his 25th TT race was described as unassuming. Of course it was. Joey's final win at the TT was arguably the one he'd be most proud of. To an Irish road racing fan, it's the little bikes where talent shines the brightest, and the first 5 finishers across the line in the ultra lightweight TT that day were Ulstermen. Joined on the podium by his brother Robert and friendly rival Dennis McCulloch, Joey's final TT win delivered the 26th victory in an unbelievable tally.
I think it is quite surprising how somebody from a small place like Northern Ireland, how well known, how famous he really is. And certainly anywhere you go in the world that has got anything to do with motorbike racing, anything at all, Joey's a hero to everyone.
Should it be Hong Kong, should it be America, wherever that is, everybody knows that name, Joey Dunlop.
Comes into my conversation all the time, always. Any chat show I do, you know, when you throw a Q&A question out to the floor, who's your favourite rider? Who was your hero? For me, immediately Joey, always was.
I go racing around the world in different places and you still see Joey Dunlop t-shirts with a helmet, yellow helmet.
And you always remember where you were when he died?
Yeah, I was at Silverstone standing on the pit wall, and I heard the sad news, just no one could believe it.
I was in the Crosby Hotel in the pub. Beautiful sunny day it was here in the Isle of Man. We all kind of, well, I just kind of got up and walked out into the garden, and you just kind of sit there and you kind of think, because obviously, it is the sport, we're surrounded by it, aren't we? But there are certain people, when you hear about it, you think, no, that can't be right.
I just got off the rostrum after winning the 250 race at Silverstone. I was like, nah, no chance, he's invincible. Like, no, crash. I said, he's not even racing, he's not racing anywhere, there's no chance. You know, he went out to Estonia and then...
It changed everything.
It's difficult when somebody's part of the furniture and then they're not there. You know, it's a big hole left, isn't it?
I think it took a bit of TT with him.
My hero gone. Yeah, sad day.
I always describe him as the Clint Eastwood of road racing. He was just so cool, just to be in his presence.
He just outshone everybody. Everybody wanted to talk to him. Everybody wanted his autograph. Everybody was just mesmerised by him.
He was so Mr. Cool, you know? He really was.
In a way, he was every man. It was for us, that's how we'd like to do things. Doesn't always work out that way, but I think people admired him for that. He did things his own way. He was his own man.
Probably looked up to him more for ploughing his own furrow as much as the sort of riding part.
And there was no edge to him. It was never about him. He was always asking him about how you were doing, and if there was anyone in the paddock, wanted any sort of help or assistance, he was one of the first there always to do it. So Joey was just an all-round nice bloke.
I think there is something in Ireland about that we like our heroes to be humble. Joey Dunlop was that in spades, really.
He didn't want to go look for the fame. He didn't want to go and look for, to go somewhere and look at me, I'm Joey Dunlop. Far from it, he would rather just stay in the background and just do his thing. And I think that's what people adhered to, wasn't it?
That's probably the thing that people admired the most about him. He pretty much was the same person. But sadly, what was the end, as he had been kind of all the way through.
I would have loved to have matched him. I really, really would have loved to have matched him. That would have been, for me, the ultimate icing on the cake.
I feel really quite privileged that our careers overlapped. It didn't overlap so much on the roads, but I did some F1 rounds when they did one at Hockenheim that I did that he won.
Incredible, isn't it? Just to be part of that whole kind of race scene, and for me, just to share the track with them kind of guys, it's an honour.
And to watch him, to read about him, to ride with him, to be wheel to wheel with him, to be his teammate. It's everybody's dream, isn't it, really?
Joey was definitely the one, what was made road racing for me.
It's just a great story of a person who grew up and ended up doing what he really wanted to do. And people like to aspire to that, and that will go on forever, that sort of feeling,
Although he raced everywhere, won pretty much everywhere, what he wanted to achieve was TT wins. He set his sights on that. He took the greatest satisfaction in those wins because they were the hardest races to win.
Nobody's forgotten him anyway. Like I say, it's a quarter of a century. It's mental, isn't it? Quarter of a century, and he's still there.
Fortunately, we've had the family since, haven't we?
The TT has a long history, but I think what the Dunlop family has contributed to it is unique. Not just Joey and Michael, but Robert as well, and William.
Michael's so like Joey in the way he goes about his business. It's him. He wants to be in charge. He wants to do it all himself. He wants to work on his own bikes.
What they have contributed to it is immeasurable.
Joey once said that he never really wanted to be a superstar. He just wanted to be himself, and that he hoped people would always remember that. At 9 minutes past midday on Wednesday the 7th of June 2000, Joey Dunlop crossed the finish line as the winner of a TT for the final time. He'd climb on the podium later that week in the senior race, but within a month, he was taken from us all. Teammate to some, friend to a very select few, but as much a hero to absolutely everybody then as he is now and will be forever.